So hello, everybody. My name is DJ Yusevich, and I am here today with Ashlyn Ford, a PhD student at the University of California, Los Angeles. And we're here to talk about being a woman in the geosciences and some of the work that Ashlyn's been doing. So thank you so much for joining us, Ashlyn. And of course, you're a part of the organization too. So I wanted to start this off by asking, how did you get involved with the organization Behind the STEAM? And if you could just give us a little introduction about yourself in general, that would be great.
Okay, I'll just start off with a little introduction. Once again, I am Ashlyn Ford, a third-year PhD student at UCLA, and my current major right now is ecology, and I look and specify in disease ecology, and I work with habitats like rocky intertidal zones and coral reefs. And how I got into the program, I just so happened to know the president, DeMarcus Robinson, through undergrad at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. And I reconnected with him once I started going to UCLA for my PhD, and that's how I ended up in the program. I just was interested in the mission that the program had, and I wanted to at least contribute to the cause,
Yeah, I feel you. Same here. I think the Behind the STEAM initiative is very important, trying to get experts out there to interact and communicate with the greater community and try to bridge the gap between, what experts. I never consider myself an expert in anything. It sounds so like pretentious. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, people who are living the life and doing the daily work in science and other fields. And I think it's great to try to bridge that gap because it can seem very overwhelming, I think, for a lot of people in the public. So I agree. I'm really happy to be a part of it and glad that you are too. We're doing some fun stuff, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you mentioned that you're particularly interested in rocky intertidal zones and coral reefs. I was wondering if you could go into a little more detail into what exactly your research is at UCLA in the Peggy Fong Lab, and what got you interested in this field of environmental science or marine biology in general.
Well, I started off coming into my PhD program with just one habitat, which was coral reefs. And I had a previous project in undergrad through the Diversity Project, which is a program that connects HBCU students and UCLA students and helping them, learn how to scuba dive, learn to create and construct and hopefully end up with a paper for like research project of interest, whatever interest that may be for you. And the particular project I was working on was looking at a disease called Parietes trematodiasis, which is a coral parasite like infection. And so I was really interested in that, and I ended up going to grad school to learn more and to work more with this particular infection. But due to COVID, I was unable to travel because the project is abroad. So I do my work predominantly abroad. So I work in Moorea, Tahiti. It's about, it's about
vacation.
And that's what my family says. It is, but it isn't.
It's a lot of work.
You can have fun and work. So I say yes, but no. So the island was closed off due to COVID, so I was unable to get some things done to finish, because that was going to be my first chapter, and my second chapter was supposed to start last year, where I was going to look more into like the details of this infection, along with like how it may be influenced through microalgae or human stressors. But because of that, I haven't been able to do that. So I've been trying to find something here locally, and I ended up working something a little bit similar. So I'm looking at parasites and barnacles, acorn barnacles to be very specific. I don't know if people are familiar with that. If not, they're just really small little barnacles you can see on the rocks here, and or like anything that's like a solid mass, you can usually find some on them. And so just trying to determine whether or not this parasite is in LA, because it's been known to be in like Santa Barbara, San Diego, but no one has really done any research necessarily in LA, just to like get an idea of where it is. So that is basically my backup plan if I can't go to Maria this summer. So I either way, it's a win-win for me. I love doing what I do. So the reason I got into environmental science, or the reason why I like environmental science, is because I grew up in a large family that lived very distinct places. So my grandfather, he's from Louisiana, my grandmother's from Minnesota, my other grandmother's from Florida, and my other grandfather is from Michigan. So each place is just near water. Like every place that I can go, I was always surrounded by water, and I was always fascinated in learning about like, what is it, like what's in there, and just like anything to do like to protect these things, because they were very like unique and beautiful to me, and I could see how it impacted my community in like a positive way. And I just wanted to be, someone that could help like preserve and protect these, areas and help the community. So
yeah. So I guess to say your personal story growing up, there was a large attachment to bodies of water and probably recreation and stuff like that, and so just wanting to be a steward of the critters living in it.
Yeah.
yeah it's great. I think that for many people in the sciences, I think you kind of get a spark early on about, oh, this is cool, or I'm interested in it. And I think it really is the job of people like us now to go in and try to foster that in younger people, because you see it so often. People have this passionate desire, but they don't meet the right people in life, or they don't have that support. And it's really unfortunate to see. So I hope that through doing these sorts of things, we can help bring forward the next generation of passionate marine scientists.
Yeah, hopefully so.
Yeah. So you touched on your first chapter and second chapter, and those are like very technical terms in the world of getting your PhD, which is quite a whirlwind of an experience, right? And I was wondering if you could share with us maybe what some of your more fun moments in graduate school have been, and maybe what was a frustrating moment. What are some of the highlights and the lowlights of graduate school?
Yeah, I would say that highlights, I mean, despite COVID, my first year and somewhat of my second year were, I think, the major highlights. So I was at least able to come to campus and like get introduced into like my cohort and my program, and interacting with different people and different research ideas and topics was great. I realized I wasn't the only science nerd out there that loved doing what they're like doing and very passionate. Like I was very encouraged to see that what I want to do is not just me, is other people are also trying to do the same thing. And just learning from people and people in my lab too, it was a great experience because I was able to like gather, new techniques and new ways to look at research. Like I never thought about modeling, but here I am trying to like work with some modeling and computer coding for fun. Like I never thought I could like do those things until like I was introduced through my cohort in my lab. Also, like just being able to do local work here has been a major highlight. I've been able to travel a little bit. COVID can't travel, but I was working in Malibu, like not something people
Oh,
say
another
every day.
vacation.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
something people say every day.
I just go to Malibu and Tahiti. It's no big deal, guys.
Yeah, I just go to Malibu. I hung out at the beach for a little bit, and then I'll just scrape some barnacle and then go home. So it's just like I'm enjoying myself despite everything. I'm enjoying myself, and I'm glad that I see myself like improving every day. I guess I would say like some struggles I'm having with is of course COVID, being not able to do the initial projects that I would have liked to do, and just dealing with like it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay if you stay
Yeah.
like an extra year, or if you have to change your project. Everything ultimately will be okay. It's something I had to learn this past year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so used to like having timelines, having plans set out in advance, so I can
Hmm.
mentally gather myself, and so that's been a bit of a struggle. And yeah, I mean, other than that, it's just been it's been a wild ride, I can say.
Oh yeah, yeah. COVID has really put a wrench. I mean, everybody out there has been affected by it one way or another, and us graduate students are no different. I
Yes.
know I had a project put on hold, and yeah, all of that. Had to find other things to do to fill the time, and I had to struggle. You know, I'm in my 30s. I'm a little bit older for a PhD student, so having to spend that extra year, I was like, oh, you know, I really wanted to get done in 5, but yeah, so it's totally been a struggle. And teaching. Oh my God, have you had to teach virtually? Oh man, it is a chore. God
It
bless
is.
all those, you know, K through 12 educators
Yes,
out there. Oh my
absolutely.
Lord.
I couldn't imagine.
Um, yeah, it's crazy.
Mhm.
So, you said you scraped barnacles in Malibu. So I went on your little research website and scoped around a little bit, and I saw on there that you're interested in anthropogenic stressors to coral reefs and intertidal habitats. So I was wondering if for the people out there, you could explain what this term anthropogenic stressors means, or what does anthropogenic mean, and what changes in our world could be impacting Earth's coral reefs or intertidal habitats.
Well, it's a very broad and strong word all in one, or not word, but two words
Yeah,
all in
yeah.
one. Um, and so for me personally, when I think of anthropogenic stressors, it's just very broad. So um, for example, in Maria, when I say anthropogenic stressors, that could mean human development, like houses along the coast or sewage along the coast that is coming from inland,
Mm,
or the farms or goat farms in the mountains that has manure running down into the river, ultimately into the ocean, which where I do my research. So those could be a few examples of what I mean, even to small as using certain like like what is it called? Sun
oh, like
protection.
suntan lotion.
Yes, sunblock can be harmful to coral. It can ultimately like
Mm-hmm.
harm them, like smother them, and ultimately they will die. And so, like it's a very broad spectrum. It can be little or not even little. It can be tons of things, but I'm more talking about like human development on like the coast where people are living and farming, and ultimately their waste is ending up in the water. Um,
Mm, that's fun. So so in general, what we're talking about is the impact that humans and our development has on natural systems like coral reefs. So other than the sunblock issue, I would not want to be smothered to death. That's those poor coral. What other stressors are they facing from humans?
yeah, I can take all day on that one. Oh, I mean, like tourism, ecotourism, that's a major one.
Mm,
So if you're snorkeling or you're scuba diving and you see this pretty little coral, sometimes people like touching or breaking off
mm,
coral for their like collection, or it's like a shell, but coral actually like living things, so you're ultimately like damaging and killing the animal. I've seen people leave trash in the coral reefs, which
mm,
can cause damage, and if there's enough trash, can ultimately kill them as well. I've seen people writing like their names or initials on coral,
mm.
or just it's a
Didn't we
lot.
learn that? Didn't we learn that lesson with the ants and the tree bark? You
Yeah,
know, that was
no.
a huge thing when I was little. Don't carve your initials in the trees because the ants will get in. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I guess the general takeaway is what did they say? Leave nothing but take nothing, leave nothing behind. So remember that.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, please,
Yeah.
please.
I know
Um,
I've seen trash down there when I've been diving. Yeah. It's
yes,
sad.
it's really sad. I like even going home. So my grandmother, like I said, lives in Apalachicola, Florida.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Not
spent
a
a
lot of
week
people
in
know about that place.
Apalachicola. I spent a week in Apalachicola. It was fun.
Yeah, it's also a fun word to say.
It is. It is. That's the most fun.
Yeah, so I used to visit my grandmother during summer and like go snorkeling and like checking out all the animals, like I said. And I was there when the oil spill in the Gulf hit.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
yeah, it was a really sad moment, like seeing the oil, seeing the organisms like dying, and then also trash. And then as like the years went on, it got better, at least with the oil, and the organisms or animals like kind of bounced back, but the trash continually like got worse. So it's becoming so a problem to a point
Mm,
where um, not necessarily because of the trash, but in general because of human stressors and humans, we had to shut down our oyster
oh no.
like our oyster companies. Like we can't like what's it called? I don't know, fish for
Like
them,
fish them,
collect them. Yes.
retrieve them. I
Yeah,
don't know.
we are not allowed to collect the oysters in the bay. And that was the major like cash money thing for Apalachicola. So now we're seeing issues, with the locals and
Hmm.
trying to preserve like the environment at the same time. So it it's a lot to put into words. Literally, I can
Yeah.
say anything, and
Oh,
it's it's there. It's unfortunately
but
there.
I think that's a great I think that's a great story that really puts an exclamation point on the fact that when we talk about things like fossil fuels and oil spills, and when we talk about these environmental disasters and the effects that environmental that the fossil fuel industry is having on the environment, and people we talk about this being an issue of economic justice and environmental justice, and if all these people that depended on oyster farming for their livelihood can't do it anymore, that's a huge impact to the people in that region. It's a rural area. I remember it's not, Pensacola is maybe an hour away, I think, right?
Yeah,
um
it's about an hour and a half.
so yeah, I mean, if you take away that industry, that's a huge blow. So that's really sad to hear, and that it's a sad story. But I mean, I think that's a really good example of how environmental issues can really impact your wallet.
Yes.
People
Yeah.
people should pay attention to them.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, so we talked a little bit about scuba diving. So I wanted to, move to a bit more fun of a question, maybe. If you could share with us some of your diving experiences, and particularly what is the most interesting thing, the coolest thing that you found on a dive?
mm. um, so I love scuba diving. I miss it terribly. Like
Me too.
it's been a struggle. My family's like, it feels like you're like just a fish on land. Like you just look so sad right now. So yes, I'm really sad right now. But I think, ooh, hard. I would have to say maybe the last scuba diving trip that I did was the coolest one, just because it was my first solo trip. Just me going, bringing my scuba gear to a random place to like explore. So I went to Taiwan. Yeah, my friend, she was teaching there. I met her when I was teaching in Korea, and then she moved to Taiwan when I went to go get my PhD. So I said I'll come visit, and so I went to Taiwan, and then there's an island called Green Island next to Taiwan. So this their little island, and I basically just like went by myself, and it was absolutely beautiful. The water was clear, it was nice, it wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold, it was perfect.
Yeah.
And the water itself, like the color, like Maria's like water is nice, but
Hmm.
I don't know, something about that blue, it was like, it was an amazing time. And there they have like sharks, they have, you know,
Oh, wow.
oh, I didn't personally see any, but apparently they have sharks.
Okay,
I
okay, all
didn't see
right.
any. Luckily, I didn't see any.
Yeah, yeah,
I've seen some sharks in Maria, but they're like lemon sharks, so it's not terrible.
yeah.
But in Taiwan or on in the water, they have these artificial coral reefs. That so they had structures, and then they put the baby coral on these structures, and so we just swam around.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, it was really nice, and it was my first time trying to be a scientific like photographer too. So it was just all a fun experience for me, and I think my most memorable. Um, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm such a scaredy cat when I dive. I'm like, where's my buddy? Where's my buddy? I can't,
Mm.
so props to you, man. That takes courage. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
pretty
wasn't by
awesome.
myself. I wasn't.
Oh,
That's
okay,
one thing
okay.
about scuba diving. Do not don't dive by yourself. So I had been at a diving hostel, so they have
Oh, okay,
diving
okay.
with your stay. So I
But
just
you went without friends or anything. You were just
yeah
like, let's go on an
yeah I made
adventure.
friends. I made
Yeah,
friends.
there you go. There you go. Okay, let's transition and talk a little bit about your experience at Florida A&M. I was wondering, I know you went to an HBCU, FAMU, as same as our president and founder, DeMarcus. So I was wondering if you could describe to us your experience as an undergraduate at an HBCU.
Whew. Well, it was. I think it was truly life changing in a good way. And I absolutely loved my time there. Trying to actually talk to my brother. He's about to be a senior this upcoming year. Try to
Ooh.
see if he can uh, apply for FAMU. It's been in our family for like generations, so
Oh yeah,
he knows the spill, but you know, a nice little nudge too would
of
help.
course.
And yeah, just meeting people there that I like can talk to and have similar interests and experiences was like worthwhile. So side note, background, I moved around a lot in high school. So I
Hmm.
was familiar with like people with different backgrounds, and coming to FAMU, it was like I was prepared. I was prepared to uh, just fully head on, like go into like what I wanted to do, and also have like people to support me and like help me achieve those goals. So the program that I was with was schooling environment, also with Demarcus. We were in the same program and also same lab, and the people there were like, even if they aren't, you know, like professors, they were still somehow mentors. Like I would
Oh,
just
that's nice.
randomly go on campus and go to their offices and like just have like these talks with them randomly about life and what I wanted to do after college and like what they did. Like it was really truly a pivotal moment in my life. It made me sit down and realize what I wanted to do because coming in, I was environmental science major. That is a very broad major. You know, you
Yeah.
can do anything with it. One of my friends ended up being a dentist, and another
Well,
went into policy. So it's literally
broad, yes.
anything. It's very broad. And I didn't know, like I said, didn't really know what to do. So just talking with professors, talking with everyone there, like I ultimately figured out what I wanted. I had experiences going abroad to do research, to study, to teach through my school, which I never thought I would do. I always thought I would probably stay like in Florida, but no, like my sophomore year, I went to Korea to go study and then ultimately like a couple of years
Jet
later
setting.
teach. Yeah, just you know,
More jet setting. Taiwan, Korea, Tahiti, it's all.
yeah. So they gave me the confidence to like do whatever I wanted to do because I know it's possible.
Hmm.
Through like the encouragement. So I am always grateful for FAMU and the
Oh,
people
that's
that I met
awesome.
there. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So it sounds like they had a really good network of mentorship and just great opportunities to meet and collaborate and network with people to help guide you and figure out your career.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
great.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So I know that you participated in the Black Marine Science Week. So I
Mm-hmm.
was wondering if you could expand upon that network a little bit. I think it was back in December or November of 2020.
Yes,
So
December. Yeah.
if you could explain the people that are in that network and how it all got started and the participation in it and just how that's grown.
Yeah, my friends, if they see this, I'm sorry if I butcher the timeline a little bit. Um, so the reason I got engaged with, or yeah, the reason I was aware and was able to participate in this week is because I was familiar with the founders of the program organization, and it started around the middle of the summer, and the program that I first before this it was for Black women in ecology and evolutionary biology. Like
Hmm.
that's its own thing. And through that network, I was able to actually see other people like me, other Black women in sciences that I you would not think would be there.
Hmm.
Because beforehand, I honestly didn't really know if there were any other Black women in like fields that I am in. And so when that came out, I was like, oh my goodness, look, I'm not alone. I have people that I can talk to and network and like learn other experiences, share other experiences. And if I need help or they need help, I have people that I can go to now. And that's been a great experience. Like they had networks, so they have like socials, things like that. And that kind of spilled over into Black and Marine Science Week. So some of the same people from that organization made the hashtag in which they kind of not backed up on it. Like I forgot how it all happened, but ultimately they made a hashtag and then going further, they decided to make it an actual thing, make it an actual like week. And so
Hmm.
it happened in December. And so the whole week was just a bunch of events where you can talk to, other Black marine scientists. So like the first day, I believe, was just introduction. So like on Twitter or Instagram or whatever social media you had, you just say what your name is, what your interests are, and then they followed that with like an event. So like I said, networking, like socials. There was like a happy hour or seminars that had different topics, like what is it like to be, you know, a Black scuba diver? Like, are there like advantages, disadvantages? Like, what experiences that you have doing that? So things like that. And so I think it was very detrimental for us to be familiar with others that look like us in the field. And going further, you can actually do mentorships. You can actually do internships with these people too as well, and vice versa. So I'm currently in both programs or organizations right now, and I'm really glad that I have been able to participate in them, because they just, like I said, with FAMU, it was nurturing and confidence. This is just like building up again after a couple of years of just been like floating around, not really knowing what to do.
Out in the PhD wilderness.
Yes, out in the wilderness.
Yeah, I think representation is so important. I know this is a quick side story. I was a huge fan of the X-Files growing up, like huge X-Files fan. And I recently learned that there's something called the Scully effect, because Dana Scully was a doctor on the show. And a lot of young girls looked up to that and said, I can be a doctor, I can be an FBI agent. Because prior to that, women on TV were, not portrayed in that kind of light. So I guess there are a lot of young female doctors and FBI agents, even that police officers and such, that say that seeing that on a major TV show was a big reason why they thought, oh, I could do that too. So yeah, representation is really important, to be able to see somebody else doing the same thing.
Definitely. I think it's kind of similar, I think, with me, or not even with me, like some of my friends. I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan at all. Are you familiar with Star Trek? So I think you know where I'm going with this. So Nyota Yorra, I sometimes butcher her name. I hopefully got that right. If not, I do apologize.
Ahura, is it Ahura? Yahura?
Ahura.
Yeah.
There we go. Like, I love Star Trek. My mom introduced me to it, and I fell in love with it because there was a African American female in what you wouldn't think, or not wouldn't think, but what traditionally wasn't there in like science fiction. And seeing her being this confident like character made me like love science fiction. And I think that only kind of sprinkled into science too, because I was like, I want to be like her. Like, she loves what she's doing and she looks great doing it. So so I completely see why people would do like what you were saying with the X-Files, being like female doctors and police officers, because it's like very empowering to see.
So you mentioned Ahura looked very good at what she was doing. So I wanted to ask you about a particular topic that I know that you, and I think Tiara Moore, the founder of the Black and Marine Science Week, also touched upon, which is hair care when diving. So what is that situation like? Because I'm bald. I haven't shaved my head in a couple of days, so this hat's not coming off because I got the fryer tuck. It's not happening, but take it from me, I'm bald, so I know nothing about hair care. So and particularly, what does a Black woman need to do, or what are the techniques when you're going diving?
I mean, so it's different for everyone. It just depends on your hair type. For me, I had no idea what I was doing first going into it. But after a while, like, I kind of figure out like what is best for my hair, what is not. You learn that very quickly. What is not.
Trial and error.
Yeah. So I figured out like recently, like my hair is very like, it takes a lot to keep it moisturized. So when I go diving, I have to put in a lot of like creams and moisturizers and oils to keep my hair from like shriveling up and drying. And I finally figured out this project that you can spray on your hair, or at least my hair, and you can if you need to go to the pool, you put this on, and then in the shower, you just rinse it off, and your hair is still good. It's not going to dry out or anything. So I've been living with that
Nice.
ever since. I've learned also like how to take care of my hair, putting it in protective styles. Like my hair currently is in like cornrow braids, or just like twist outs or something to keep my hair from like breaking at the end. Because constantly brushing it or constantly like touching it can like ultimately like damage your hair. So I have to be mindful of that. But it took a while for me to figure it out. It took me a while to figure it out. So yeah, usually I just put it in braids or twists and or a bun and hope for the best. But luckily I have the right products to do the least amount of damage.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, if people have any questions or any wanting suggestions, feel free to reach out to me and I can tell you all the names. I can't at the top of my head, but I know what the bottles look like. So.
That's the same with me. I never remember the name of anything I use, but I'm like, oh, it's the white bottle with the blue thing on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's cool. So yeah, when this goes up on YouTube and Instagram or whatever, hopefully, you know, you can share the products if somebody's interested. So that's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So our last question. Hope it's been going well. So we're at our last question now. So I just wanted to thank you for your time, Ashlyn. And I was wondering, because it's you know, Women's Appreciation Month, and we're putting a spotlight on women like you who are involved in Behind the Steam. I was wondering if you could share with us any suggestions you could give to young women out there that are interested in pursuing science or going to graduate school, and what sort of tips and what sort of hurdles maybe that you've encountered along the way.
Okay. Let's see. I think something that I wish I heard going into graduate school, and what I kind of learned as I went on is, you know, don't be discouraged if what you are interested in isn't like well known or is like detrimental like research to society. If you like something and it makes you happy and it's doing something, you know, whether it be big or small, go for it. Like I had to learn, like what I was saying earlier with my research, I work with parasites in like different habitats, and my family kind of didn't really understand like what is the importance of this, like how is this going to impact like humans or like me. And I'm just like trying to tell them there's more, you know, to life than just humans out there. There's so many topics, so many organism species, habitats, environments that need to be explored, and it doesn't have to always come back to humans in order for it to be important. Though I do study anthropogenic stressors, that's not like my main concern. My main concern is to do exploration of these different infections and diseases and like help the coral reefs or help the barnacles out in any way I possibly can. And so I think that is something that I wish I had learned going into and would save me a lot of stress along the way. And also just, I encourage you to reach out to like your mentor or people that you would think would be great mentors. It's scary. I know it's scary, but it's worthwhile in the end. I have an advisor for my PhD program, but I have numerous mentors from different fields, different, you know, ways of life that have been like helping me create my career and helping me figure out what I want to do. And I think without that, I would still be lost, and I probably wouldn't. I won't probably be here without them. And so I think that you need to have like a strong anchor, or at least one person that's like holding you in and telling you everything's okay and what you can do to like improve yourself and like help out as well with others later on in life. So yeah, those are the two tidbits I would say for that.
Yeah, mentorship is so important. It's kind of the hidden secret is find your mentors, find your network, and help other people out, and it really, really goes a long way for sure. I've noticed. Yeah, definitely. Truer words, never spoken. So I think that's the end of my questions. So I'd like to thank you for your time on this Tuesday evening, and I hope that everybody who's watching this enjoys the interview and follows Behind the Steam. And we're preparing for our first conference, and just keep in tune with all the stuff we're doing, because we're going to have a lot of cool, interesting stuff for you guys to view. So thank you, Ashlyn. It's been great, and I'll see you in a meeting sometime.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye.